Part 2. Zawinong, South. The journey continues into the southern direction, a time for wandering and wondering. Chapter 14. The next morning, I step outside dressed in running gear. Heavy fog conceals the rising sun. I say my morning prayer and ask for Gwe Kawadziwin, honesty. Walking through life with integrity means not deceiving yourself or others. The prayer sticks in my throat. In this newer new normal, I'm living a lie as a confidential informant for the meth investigation connected to the deaths of my uncle and my best friend. I can't find my rhythm. Something feels off. It's the same route, same pace. It isn't until I run past the Dairy Queen that I realize what's missing. Jamie. I shouldn't have gotten used to him running with me, or liked it so much. Mrs. B greets me at the front desk. I wave. The invisible cloud of roses itches my nose. I twist my back until I hear and feel the satisfying crack on each side. All my normal routines. Mom sits at Grand Mary's bedside, reading Pride and Prejudice aloud. Jane Austen has mediated their tumultuous relationship my entire lifetime. Grand Mary has always found passive-aggressive ways to convey disappointment in my mother. Snide comments about Mom's inability to lose the baby weight and refusing to carry plus sizes in the dress boutique. Spirited discussions about English women of the early 19th century were the only time they could spar on equal footing. I turned down their repeated requests to join them, offering Lily in my place. My best friend loved Jane Austen, loved reading and taking deep dives into the classics. Lily basked in my mother's attention, while I was all too eager to escape it. I wonder if Mom has told Grand Mary about Lily, or if she ever will. Too sweaty, I declare when Mom rises to hug me. She holds me anyway. Are they doing anything special at the Kneebing program for Lily? Her voice is gentle against my cheek. I nod. They have counselors doing activities with the kids all week. When I called Mr. Vasquez for time off, he offered to have last Friday count as my final day. He asked if I could drop by between now and Labor Day weekend so the kids can say goodbye. I swallowed the lump in my throat. TJ's cousin Garth is interning at behavioral health and can sub for me. Mr. Vasquez said one of the counselors took Lily's spot to help her kids with their grieving. I'm glad the tribal programs work together like that to support the kids, Mom says, and that Mr. Vasquez understands what you need during all this. She rubs my back before releasing me. I'm going to run errands today, check on Granny, buy my books for my classes, try to add that biology seminar, I say. Surprise deepens the creases in my mother's forehead. I soften my voice. Lily will be mad if I don't follow through on our classes. I leave out the day's biggest errand, a long day trip with Ron and Jamie to Marquette, where the United States Attorney's Office for the Western District of Michigan is located. Ron's car pulls up while I'm still combing my wet hair. I grab a bottle of water for the road and slide the comb and a hair tie into the pocket of my sleeveless short romper. Uncle David brought the fabric, red cotton with white hibiscus flowers, back from a trip to Hawaii, and Grand Mary had it made into a romper customized for my flat chest, thick waist, and long legs. I couldn't fathom any occasion I'd wear it to, but meeting federal officials seems to call for a dressier outfit than a t-shirt and jean shorts, and sandals rather than running shoes. I open the car door, and the air conditioning is a relief from the late August humidity. The romper is already sticking to my back. I fix my hair into a side braid that falls over one shoulder. Jamie sits directly behind me. His audible sigh ticks me off. I'm the only person in this car who has a right to be irked. In fact, I want Jamie as far from me as possible. There's a scene in The Godfather, my brother's favorite movie, where a character named Clemenza positions himself behind the guy he intends to strangle while they're in the car. Hey, Clemenza, sit behind Ron, I tell Jamie. Leave the gun, take the cannoli, Ron says without missing a beat. I laugh, my own shield to protect myself from Jamie, the smooth liar. Jamie pinches the bridge of his nose, as if it pains him to shift 3 feet over. Secret squirrel training starts now, I say, diving right in. What do I need to know? Secret squirrel? Jamie asks. Ron answers. Secret squirrel. A cartoon squirrel, wears a fedora and trench coat. He was a secret agent in the International Sneaky Service, I add. I know my classics. The car was searched for listening devices and is clean, Ron says. You should assume everywhere else is bugged and only speak about the investigation when we tell you it's safe. I take a mental note. Secret squirrel lesson number 1. I'm not paranoid, but the men listening to me are. I'm showing you a drop-off site, Ron says, turning off the highway toward Dafter. Drop-off? I imagine suitcases filled with meth, cash, maybe dismembered body parts. I'll explain, but first, let me say, we need CIs to obtain useful and credible information that will aid our investigation into criminal activities. Information you share with us might be included in future warrant applications, but your identity won't be. That's the confidential part of being a confidential informant. It doesn't mean that we provide you with confidential information about the investigation, only what is deemed necessary and appropriate for you to know. He makes another turn down an unpaved road. It's important for you to understand these limitations, Donis. If an LEO, meaning law enforcement officer, directs you as a CI to do something, say, search the hockey team's gear bags for disposable cell phones, you become an agent of the law. If you, as an agent of the law, obtain evidence illegally, then the information is inadmissible in court under the Fourth Amendment. It's called fruit of the poisonous tree. It's better for you to volunteer information and let us ask for clarification. Secret squirrel lesson number 2. Beware the fruit of the poisonous tree. Ron turns down a gravel driveway next to a dilapidated trailer. The path snakes through pine trees to a 3-car garage. He pushes one of 2 door openers, revealing a modern workshop. This is where you can drop off bags of trash from the hockey players' homes, including your brother's, he says. The mouthful of water I just took sprays the front windshield. Trash hits are legal, Jamie says. Once it's in the can, we don't need a warrant. Oh, hells no, I sputter. I'm not hauling my brother's trash. You can't be serious. It would be helpful. Ron pushes the gadget again to close the door. He hands me the second device, but it's not mandatory. Donis, you have access that we don't. Just tell us about things you see and hear. We'll figure out the trash hits on our own. Secret squirrel lesson number 3. I'm not my brother's keeper of trash. I'm helping to investigate Travis and the other meth heads in the Sioux. I won't be snooping on Levi or any of my friends. The FBI won't change who I am, I vow silently. Halfway to Marquette, Ron mentions I'll need to learn how to make meth. For real? I squeak before realizing that, logically, it makes perfect sense. Ron smiles. Yes, you need to learn different methods of production so you can identify any evidence you might come across. We're asking you to figure out what Travis Flint did to create Meth X. You have to know the recipes before you start adapting them. You want me to make meth and experiment with it, I say for my own confirmation. Well, the more you know, the better a CI you can be, he tells me. Before the season opener, you and Jamie will take a weekend trip together to a federal lab outside of Marquette. Wait, what? I glance back at Jamie, his head resting on a sweatshirt against the window. His eyes are closed, probably taking a nap. I lower my voice to a whisper. That's not normal for new friends to take a trip like that. Besides, he has a girl. I stare at Ron. There's no girlfriend, is there? Easier to keep girls away if he's being loyal to someone back home, Ron explains. But everyone will think I poached him from his girlfriend. I don't know which disturbs me more, being that girl who steals boyfriends or spending a weekend with Jamie. But I do know that spending a weekend with Jamie is a more disturbing thought than learning to make meth. Secret squirrel lesson number 4. All's fair in love, hockey, and meth. It's your choice, Donis. Posing as friends or as something more. I see where this is going. The logical choice is to pose as the girlfriend. But after a lifetime of following the rules, I'm sick of logical. It felt good to shout at Angie Flint and watch her cower, and to tell TJ off. I want to be more like Lily, jump a curb and park in the grass. Isn't there a better cover story? I grumble, as logic refuses to take a back seat so I can jump the curb. I mean, the whole romantic charade seems, I grasp for the right word, stupid, torturous. Basic? Occam's razor, Ron says. The simplest solution is easiest to believe. That's not what Occam's razor means. It's a problem-solving principle about competing hypotheses and starting at the one with the fewest assumptions. Ron stares at me with his jaw dropped. Then he chuckles. Okay. I just mean it's the most believable scenario. But why can't you come along on the meth weekend, like today? I need Ron to be a buffer between Jamie and me. Even the sight of that smooth liar is irritating. Because we can get away with it once or twice for a fake college visit. But if the three of us keep going away together, it gets hinky. People accept normal patterns, Donis. When there's a disruption in the pattern, people notice. Their spidey senses go on alert, even if they aren't consciously aware. You and Jamie need to establish relationship patterns for people to observe. He has to be your main point of contact. Yeah, well, what about Murphy's Law? I mutter, shifting in my seat. Secret squirrel lesson number 5. Whatever can happen, will happen. Donis, I have a feeling you're going to keep all of us on our toes. Ron glances in the rearview mirror. Especially him. We arrive in Marquette at an office building. I follow Ron and Jamie inside. Next to the elevators is a sign that reads, United States Attorney's Office, Western District of Michigan. Ron leads us into an office where some Big Cheese's name is engraved on a brass nameplate. Big Cheese introduces himself and another attorney, explains that ordinarily, the field agents would review the confidential informant documentation with me. Due to my age, Big Cheese will read verbatim the official CI instructions. Little Cheese will serve as the witness. It expands on what Ron covered on the drive this morning. My job is to provide truthful information. My help is voluntary. The government strives to protect my identity, but cannot guarantee it if there are legal or compelling reasons. Any promises or considerations in exchange for my cooperation are at the discretion of federal officials, other than the agent. Agreeing to serve as a confidential informant does not give me immunity from following the law, and I risk arrest and prosecution for any illegal activity I might choose to do. But hasn't Ron already said I'm going to learn how to make meth? Ron registers my confusion. If you have any questions about legality, ask for clarification before you act. What if he isn't around? What if there isn't time to get an answer? I don't know enough about what I will be doing to know if these are questions to bring up now or later. Big Cheese finishes reading the document. I only catch every other word. Not employee, can't obligate government, payments taxed. People get paid? I scowl. I don't want anything. It would feel weird to get paid for this. I'm just trying to make sense of what happened to Lily and protect my community. Ron chimes in that they want me to provide information about the team, the tribe, and the town. Any information that might reveal who was working with Travis Flint and what traditional medicines he used to create at least one batch of something more powerfully addictive than even the purest meth. When it's time to sign the agreement, the pen is fancy, like the one I received as a graduation gift from one of Grandpa Lorenzo's business partners. It weighs more than an ordinary pen. Maybe the U.S. Attorney's Office does this on purpose. The heavy burdens begin with your signature. This feels wrong. I've researched our medicines before, but for science projects like the choke cherry pudding, I want to show people that our traditional healers are, and always have been, scientists who use plants as medicine, but this? Looking for traditional medicines to experiment with meth at the request of the FBI? It's not right. In my heart, I know this. What would Lily do? My brave friend's last act was reaching for the gun to protect me. What would Auntie do? My badass aunt would punch first and ask questions later. Grandma Pearl also comes to mind. Her parents hid her and her sisters whenever the dogs barked. When she was growing up, dogs barking meant men might be coming to take the kids to boarding school. I was with her once when she heard barking. Even though the last church-operated boarding school in Michigan closed 2 years before I was born, my Nokomis grabbed Grandpa Ted's rifle and put me into the hidey hole beneath a trapdoor under the bed, told me to stay quiet or the Zuganosh would get me. Grandma Pearl would have killed to keep me safe. Maybe it isn't about helping the FBI, but about protecting my community. Can I do one without the other? If I don't sign on, they will find someone else to be their confidential informant. Jamie is right. I know science and Ojibwe culture. I also know that I'm strong enough to do this. There's one more thing I know. My definition of being a good secret squirrel is not the same as theirs. Maybe there isn't one investigation taking place, but two. Theirs and mine. I signed the agreement. The car ride back is silent. I blink until the trees fade away. I haven't played my daydream game in a while. Blinking to change the scene in front of me. At hockey games growing up, I'd imagine my dad watching me in the stands with the other parents, getting high fives from everyone around him. When Levi was named team captain earlier this summer, the youngest one in the North American Hockey League, I blinked until Dad stood next to me, hugging me and saying how proud he was of my brother and me. My name is Donis Lorenza Fontaine, and my best friend is Lily June Chipaway. We are shopping at the campus bookstore. Lily needs to price her books so she can redeem one of Granny June's coupons. I'm excited to shop for mechanical pencils and highlighters. Lily says every pen and pencil writes exactly the same, but that's not true. I feel smarter with certain ones. Calculations come more easily. Words flow more smoothly on the page. She teases me about my magic pencil theory. I am her favorite geek in the whole world. I shop with Lily, even for groceries, because her dark brown skin means security personnel will follow her around most stores. She doesn't need me to be her goon. Lily's perfectly capable of calling them out for their bullshit shoplifter profiling, but having a witness is always helpful. The college bookstore should be different, more enlightened. We are two ordinary freshmen in a sea of people. Ron and Jamie appear at the end of the aisle, next to the protractors. Why are they? Danger can turn up anywhere, Jamie says. I turn to warn Lily, but she's disappeared. They showed up. Now she's gone. As I wipe tears from my cheeks, I catch Jamie watching me. He looks away quickly. We have an hour more to go. The turn for Tahquamenon Falls State Park is just ahead. Follow those signs, I tell Ron. Yous need to see this. There are two entrances a few miles apart. We go to the upper falls, instead of the one for the smaller series of lower falls. Outside the car, the temperature has cooled off. That's the thing about living near Lake Superior. The winds can change without notice. Jamie offers his sweatshirt, which I begrudgingly take. I'm surprised it fits me. It must be 2 sizes too big for him. I lead them from the parking lot to the trail through the woods. The roar of the waterfall intensifies as we get closer. We glimpse the Tahquamenon River through the trees before coming upon a set of 100 steps down to an observation deck. It's a gorgeous day. Leaves are beginning to transform from lush green to faint shades of red, orange, and yellow. Not peak autumn colors yet, but the promise of a momentous change. The frothy brown water of the wide river resembles root beer as it cascades over a 50-foot drop that will continue to the lower falls downriver. Ron and Jamie look awestruck. We have the deck to ourselves after a large group departs. There's more to the UP than meth and hockey, I shout over the deafening torrent. Why is the water that color? Ron yells back. Tannins are leached from the cedar swamps upriver. I take pride in the spectacular beauty of this place. Jamie and Ron are here to investigate something horrible, to shine a light on the bad things. That's not the entirety of our story. Gijik is one of our traditional medicines, cedar, one of the big four, I say, deciding to volunteer information. It's a cleanser, a purifying medicine. You put it in your shoes, Jamie says. He doesn't need to add, at Lily's funeral. You offer sema, tobacco, to give thanks before you take any. Gijik is protection. When you walk on cedar, you're asking for help and goodness to surround you. We remain there for a few minutes. Or maybe it's hours. Time seems to stand still here. I need to tell them what I should have disclosed on the drive to Marquette. Ron, I don't know if Jamie mentioned it, but I'm honoring my traditions, grieving my uncle and Lily. I can't collect medicines for a year because my grief affects them. It means I won't be part of the gathering sessions, which is when a lot of teachings are passed along. I take a deep breath. I'll need to find other ways to get information, but I swear I'll figure it out. Ron nods. I understand, but that brings up another subject I wanted to discuss. I tense my body and feel the familiar throbbing in my left shoulder. I know you're not enrolled, he continues, but your tribe allows for you to apply for membership until your 19th birthday. That's October 1st, right? Would you consider trying to apply for special consideration? It might help the investigation if you strengthen your connection to the tribe. No way. The investigation and my enrollment status are two areas of my life I want to stay separate. Jamie the blabbermouth must have repeated what I told him about my birth certificate, or else Ron memorized dates when he researched me. It's just a suggestion, Donis. I didn't intend any disrespect, Ron says. What was in the case file about my uncle's help? I'm eager to change the subject. As Ron recites it from memory, I keep my face in unreadable mask. I pinch my upper thigh when he gets to the part about mushrooms and Sugar Island. David Fontaine wouldn't give the exact location, but we knew he was on the southern end of Sugar Island, near Duck Lake. He collected samples of mushrooms and fungi. Why wouldn't Uncle David have told them his exact location? And if he didn't, then how did the FBI know where he was on the island? Were they following him? Why would they? Wait, will they be following me? Assume everywhere is bugged. Did Ron mean the FBI will be checking on me? Is Jamie's job to keep tabs on me? Ron motions toward the stairs. Let's head back. Secret squirrel time, I say with an empty smile. I start climbing the mountain of stairs at a normal pace. Jamie quickens his steps as if it's a competition. That asshole! I take 2 steps at a time to surge ahead. He catches up. We reach the top at the same time, both huffing. What's with all the cartoon stuff? Jamie says between breaths. This is serious shit. You think I don't know that? The stitch in my side feels like a knife. I yank the sweatshirt over my head and throw it at him. Here, I'm fine now. He catches it with lightning-fast reflexes and a scowl that pisses me off. Did you tell Ron what I told you about my dad not being on my birth certificate? And the stuff about my grandparents keeping him from getting a job? Because I didn't share that with you to put it in one of your reports. Keep your voice down, Jamie says, looking around the empty parking lot. Here's something for your next report, I hiss, flipping both middle fingers at him. We are not friends, not even buddy and ambassador. Unless it has to do with the investigation, you don't exist to me. Jamie's tawny brown eyes blaze with something intense. Anger, exasperation, defiance. I serve it right back. It feels like a staring contest. No, a glaring contest. Don't know why you're both in such a hurry, Ron says when he finally appears. He walks between us like a knife cutting the tension. I'm the one with the car keys. Chapter 15. The next day, Granny June calls me to ask if I can bring her to lunch at the Elder Center on Sugar Island. Sure, I say without hesitation. I'll let my mom know I need the car. Don't worry about that. I'll see you at 11, hey? My heart skips a beat when the Jeep pulls into the driveway. Granny June is the tiny figure behind the wheel. She hops out and gives me a wave before walking around to her usual spot as co-pilot. If Granny can drive, then why does she need me? Feels weird sitting in Lily's seat. My head grazes the roof. My knees wedge uncomfortably beneath the steering wheel. I lower the height of the seat and move it as far back as it will go. When I turn too quickly into the ferry parking lot, the tires call out for Lily. Granny smiles through tears. In that instant, I want to tell her about the investigation. Justice for Lily. I stay quiet. On the ferry ride, she takes a pouch of Sema from her purse and offers me a pinch. This constant flow means it's a new river each time we cross, and we should honor the journey. Granny tells me, these are old teachings. I haven't always kept them up, eh? I join her as she tosses the Sema out the window, where it and our whispered prayers are carried on the breeze to float downriver. Granny June crushes my hand in hers when we walk into the elders' dining room. This is why she needed me. It wasn't about the ride at all. She takes a seat next to Minnie Mustang. Minnie's actual last name is Manitou. But when she bought a Ford Mustang the color of a ripe tomato, Minnie got a new nickname. She purchased it when she turned 75, telling everyone it was her midlife crisis car. Granny pats my hand when I bring her a cup of coffee. Miigwech, my girl. Dark and bitter. Just like my first husband. Gets you riled up too, hot stuff, Minnie adds. They both laugh. I get in line behind John Z. Kiwaden, TJ's grandpa. He used to be nearly as tall as TJ, but now he's closer to my height. You call this a pasty? John Z grumbles when the lunch lady hands him a plate with a baked meat pie, folded in half with crimped edges, filled inside with diced beef and root vegetables. What do you got to say about this here pasty? She asks in mock indignation. I don't have enough years left to tell you what all's wrong with it, he yells. She gives me a wink as John Z walks away. I fix a tray for Granny. Elders are always served first. I'll come back for my own food after the line goes down. I bring Granny June a salad, a pasty, and a bottle of ketchup. Minnie makes the sign of the cross at the sin of frosting a pasty with anything but gravy. Minnie asks about my classes. I rattle them off. American literature? That college better include Mishner, Granny says it like a threat. Lily and I used to drive Granny and Minnie to garage sales in their quest for James Mishner hardcover editions with pristine book covers. I once tried reading Hawaii, but never made it past the initial chapter describing the island's origins millions of years ago. Lava eruption breaking the ocean surface and birds pooping out seeds from faraway lands. I get myself yogurt and salad, thankful that my eating habits have returned to normal. Auntie walks into the dining room and I'm wrapped in her arms a heartbeat later. Everything goes quiet as I inhale her wonderful teddy smell, designer perfume, contraband cigarettes, and a scent that reminds me of the woods just after it rains. My throat closes up the instant I think about telling her what's going on. Granny June mentioned Auntie having felonies. Why neither woman can run for council. If it's true, would I be putting her at risk if I said anything about the investigation? Auntie has a peaceful life with Art and the girls. She used to date hellraisers. Bad dudes, she called them. Art taught her that love wasn't supposed to be a roller coaster. It could be a walk in the woods. She told me there's a phrase in our beautiful language for when you no longer walk alone on your path, but are together for the journey on this earth. We Jean Deween. I stay silent. From across the room, John Z shouts his usual greeting at her, the one he uses on every tribal council member and program director who drops by for lunch. Hey, Big Cheese, how much are we paying you? Auntie responds, not what I'm worth, John Z, but just enough so I'll stick around. Granny June and I stay after lunch for the social activities. Some elders speak Anishinaabe Moan while they work on puzzles together. Others speak English with Ojibwe words added liberally like salt on bland food. There's a book club and a Tai Chi group. Granny usually argues about tribal politics with a cabal of fellow dissidents who don't care for most of the tribal council's decisions, but spar loudly over the alternatives. Since today is Friday, Euchre Day, Granny and Minnie sit opposite each other at a card table, blinking secret codes to let the other know what suit they're holding and if they've got any bowers. It would be an unfair advantage if their opponents weren't doing the same damn thing. Johnsy comes over and asks if anyone wants to go bottle collecting with him. I remember his obsession with finding collectibles down at the old landfill site south of town. At a nearby table, Sini asks Auntie about harvesting gishik and ibishan, cedar leaves, on the island. A group of Nishkwewag will be going this weekend. Gawin! Auntie shakes her head. No. She speaks quickly in the language. I managed to catch 2 words, enegazi and kuezan, grief and little girl. I fight the urge to run back into her arms and cry like a baby. Auntie is joining Granny June and me as we honor our mourning period for Lily. Not harvesting medicines for a year, among other protocols. The traditions I told Ron and Jamie about yesterday at Tahquamenon Falls. I reassured Ron I'd find other ways to obtain information about traditional medicines, especially those that might induce hallucinations. I should have prayed this morning for Mana Dindamoin, since to act without harm is to know respect. There is power in what I am going through. It's my responsibility to observe the protocols and protect others during this traditional grieving period. Johnsy walks behind each euchre player, checking out their cards. He grimaces at Minnie's hand. During the 3 months that I was TJ's girlfriend, I spent a lot of time with the Kewadans. I always liked TJ's family, especially his grandpa. Johnsy was always telling stories. Sometimes I'd need to hang in there to find the teaching in his meandering, animated anecdotes. Wait a minute. Johnsy is a talker, full of teachings. TJ didn't like his grandpa going by himself to the landfill in search of antique treasures. Hey, Grandpa Johnsy, I call out. You still looking for someone to go collecting with you?